And then finally, I think that from the last year, the one thing I've tried to put a priority on since I left the White House was getting some exercise in. I think that there's a good probability that my generation is, hopefully with the advances in science, either the first generation to live forever or the last generation that's going to die. And so we need to keep ourselves in pretty good shape. And then the other thing
The United States is prepared to support a peace agreement in every way that we can. We believe that it is possible for both sides to gain more than they give so that all people can live in peace, safe from danger, free from fear, and able to pursue their dreams. The United States recognizes the sensitivity surrounding Jerusalem, a city that means so much to so many. Jerusalem is a city unique in the history of civilization. No other place on earth can claim significance to three major religions. Each day, Jews pray at the Western Wall, Muslims bow in prayer at Al-Aqsa Mosque, and Christians worship at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. That is why President Trump has called many times, including right now, on all parties to maintain the status quo at Jerusalem's holy sites, including the Temple Mount, also known as Haram al-Sharif. While the challenges to peace are numerous, I have personally seen that the determination of the leaders in the region and throughout the world remains steadfast. Jerusalem must remain a city that brings people of all faiths together, to visit, to worship, to respect each other, and to appreciate the majesty of history and the glory of God's creation. Israel has been a responsible custodian of Jerusalem and has kept these religious sites open to all.
A company owned by President Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, will receive more than $400 million from a Chinese firm if the deal goes through, in a real estate deal that many experts are calling unusually favorable. The payout from the Arbang Insurance Group is part of a $4 billion deal at Kushner's Manhattan office tower at 666 Fifth Avenue. Bloomberg reports Arbang has links to the Chinese power structure and that past investments by the company in New York real estate have drawn federal review. Lawrence Noble of the Campaign Legal Center said of the deal, quote, "At the very least, this raises serious questions about the appearance of a conflict that arises from the possibility that the Kushners are getting a sweetheart deal. A classic way you influence people is by financially helping their family," he wrote.
Kushner is a guy with a Twitter account, but no tweets, a cover story in Time with no interview. He once tiptoed past his wife as she was being interviewed.
Oh, come on, Jared. Come on. Come on, Jared. Oh, Jared, you can't just walk in and not say anything.
He used to.
The silent sidekick has finally found his voice.
It's working, and it's very exciting.
But Jared Kushner, who is now, perhaps the single most influential aide when you watch Trump on TV, Jared Kushner is almost always by his side. He's involved in seemingly everything.
He's, of course, married to Ivanka Trump.
Right. So Donald Trump's son-in-law, he was previously CEO of Kushner Companies, his family company that, is a multi-billion-dollar company, owns tons of real estate. He has stakes in other kinds of businesses. And typically government officials divest from their businesses, sell them off so they don't have conflicts of interest. But in the case of Kushner, he's actually keeping parts of his family real estate empire.
666 Fifth Avenue, a prime piece of New York City's skyline, just 6 blocks from Central Park. Jared Kushner decided to make it his trophy in 2007.
This was the deal that put Jared on the map.
As you point out, this deal involving this Chinese company Anbang and this large office tower in Midtown Manhattan, which Jared Kushner has divested from, but the family still owns it. So
it's going to be one of the biggest real estate deals in history in the city.
Right. According to this deal sheet that Bloomberg obtained, I believe it values this one office building at over $2 billion, which is the highest amount ever.
And they paid something like $1 billion
for it in 2007? They paid about, I believe, 1.8 at I think the top of the market, and then it went through. There's been a sort of complicated series of transactions with this particular building.
In December of last year, President Trump announced to the world that the United States would finally recognize the truth, that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. He also declared that we would soon move our embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and just 5 months later, we are standing on these grounds. While presidents before him have backed down from their pledge to move the American embassy once in office, this president delivered. Because when President Trump makes a promise, he keeps it. But today also demonstrates American leadership. By moving our embassy to Jerusalem, we have shown the world once again that the United States can be trusted. We stand with our friends and our allies, and above all else, we've shown that the United States of America will do what's right, and so we have. Israel's a sovereign nation with the right to determine its own capital, the same right that is enjoyed by every other country in the world. In taking this action, the United States has also chosen to strengthen the bond between our two countries. Our special bond is the envy of nations throughout the world. This bond is forged through shared history, sustained through shared interests, and immortalized through shared principles. The United States stands with Israel because we both believe in freedom.
And we rarely get to see Jared Kushner in public. It is not common for he or his wife, Ivanka Trump, to make themselves available to the media unless it is a carefully staged interview. So when I saw both Jared and Ivanka getting on the plane in Washington, D.C., escorted by Secret Service, I thought to myself, now is as good a time as any to get the reaction from Jared Kushner on his response to these Saudi denials that they had anything to do with the suspected death of Jamal Khashoggi. I did not, as you see, get an answer to that question.
And do we know, Errol, what they were doing on that flight heading to New York?
Well, it's not uncommon for Jared and Ivanka Trump to make their way back to New York, where they have a home and are more comfortable. One thing we've noted in Washington is that anytime very negative headlines seem to be swirling around the White House, conveniently, Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner are out of town and are seen kind of in other places. But what's key about Jared Kushner and his thinking is that he has been a major proponent of forging ties with Saudi Arabia. Jared Kushner, early on in the Trump administration, went to Riyadh to meet with officials. He laid the groundwork for the first major overseas trip of President Trump when he went to Saudi Arabia on a swing through the region, and was a major player as far as setting up the $110 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia, which is now under threat because of the suspected actions of the royal family against Jamal Khashoggi. So he is a key figure within the administration and an important individual when it comes to understanding the president's thinking, especially at this time.
When we stand together for the principles and the values we share, we shine a light of justice unto the world. Israel proves every day the boundless power of freedom. This land is the only land in the Middle East in which Jews, Muslims, and Christians, and people of all faiths participate and worship freely according to their beliefs. Israel protects women's rights, freedom of speech, and the right of every individual to reach their God-given potential. These are the same values that the United States cherishes. These are the values that bind us together. These are also the values that have made Israel one of the most vibrant nations in the world. This tiny population has spurred advancements in technology, medicine, and agriculture, making the world a healthier, safer, and more prosperous place. These are the blessings we hope Israel can one day share with its neighbors. Last week, President Trump acknowledged another truth and kept another promise. He announced his intention to exit the dangerous, flawed, and one-sided Iran deal. Iran's aggression threatens the many peace-loving citizens throughout the region and the entire world. From Israel to Jordan to Egypt to Saudi Arabia and beyond, many leaders are fighting to modernize their countries and create better lives for their people. In confronting common threats and in pursuit of common interests, previously unimaginable opportunities and alliances are emerging. As Israel turns 70, the search for a lasting peace turns over a new leaf, one of realism and of not being afraid to stand strongly with our allies for what is good, for what is right, and for what is true. Thank you. When there is peace in this region, we will look back upon this day and remember that the journey to peace started with a strong America recognizing the truth. The pursuit of peace is the noblest pursuit of humankind. I believe peace is within reach if we dare to believe that the future can be different from the past, that we are not condemned to relive history, and that the way things were is not how they must forever be.
In light of the attack, the Abraham Accords are more important than ever. Clearly, this is one of the hardest problem sets that's existed probably in geopolitics, but the end state has to look something like this, and it has to have two elements. Number one, Israel has to have the security to not be threatened by its neighbors and to be able to protect its citizens. That is absolutely crucial, is non-negotiable, and I do think a lot of the world agrees that that's something that should exist. The second element is that the Palestinian people have to have the opportunity to live a better life. And I think that if you go through the element, it's not just saying let's create a state, it has to be a state that can function and thrive, because if you don't create that, then the people will, again, find ways to blame other people instead of the leadership that's putting it there.